So, if you guys have been playing this game for a while now, you guys will see this being maybe an issue. Some of you guys may think they don't care about it, but to some of you guys, it may be an issue. I'm talking about the current situation with ultra rare ships. Now, these things, it affects both early, mid game, and late game players. There's a whole lot of them, so I'll go ahead and talk about discussion with them. Now, ultra rare ships have been a thing since Shinano came out, where it was a big dictator on your progression moving towards endgame. Now, as of right now, we can clear the game, even campaign and all that jazz with SSR ships, but having UR ships definitely does make the game much more sound to clear, much easier, less of a headache, makes your life much easier. So getting these kind of ships is very important. Whether you're early, mid game, late game player, it is very important to get them. Meaning, a lot of us base a lot of our game hours around these UR events because getting these ultra rare ships is pretty important for our account progression. Now, there has been an issue going on for maybe the past 2-3 years now, in a sense that as we're progressively getting more ultra rare ships in the game, the amount of slots in our combat sorties are not changing. So what this means is that there's a power scaling right now when it used to be just, okay, is a UR ship most likely is better than is a SSR ship. That's the thing, right? Now we're having situations where UR ships are better than other UR ships. It's starting to be a thing now. It's much more noticeable now. A good example is the recent 2 UR events for Alsace and Soyuz. Now, if you guys don't have all the UR ships, then it's not a big deal. But if you guys have all of them, you guys will probably see that Soyuz isn't sticking around as much anymore because Alsace basically took her job. And now this may not be an issue because, again, if you guys want to use Soyuz, you guys can. You guys can clear all content with said ship. It's just some do it much easier than others. This has been a thing since day one. And some people, they're completely fine with it. I'm completely fine with it. But it's still a discussion in a sense that why must we go through this phase where just one ship is just completely better than another one, right? This is something that some people don't like. Some people are okay with power creep. But personally, to me, I think there's a much better way of handling power creep in the sense that there's more fairness involved, more usage for other ships that we may not even use anymore for certain combat stuff. So for example, right now, let's look at Operation Siren, right? This has been content for how many years now? 4 years now. This is a good example of what I'm talking about. Campaign, we basically have 2 fleets, but OS, we have 4 fleets right here, right? Now, 4 fleets is a good place for you guys that are not fully developed to try out multiple fleets because, again, some of the content in this game, in that game mode, or all content in the game mode, requires multiple fleets. So you can stack cross barrages like me, make 2 carrier, 2 battleship fleets, 1 mob fleet, and 3 bossing fleet. There is a lot of setups that you guys can run for Operation Sirens. Now, this is a good thing for most developing players because you guys aren't at the stage yet where basically one fleet can knock out everything. Now, if you guys are at the end game, this is when it starts becoming a problem in the sense that slowly those SSRs in your backline are getting kicked off for more cross barrages. As you guys can see right here, my mob fleet right here is just like a toss together. I usually use unicorn. But look at this. We have cross, not Hakuryu, cross. And then mob setup. We have cross here. Unzen right here. There's a lot of cross barrages here. And this is basically how it would turn out for most endgame player when they go into Operation Siren nowadays, right? So basically all those SSR slots, those irrelevant URs like FDGs or whatever, they get kicked off. Now we're just stacking cross barrages now. And even though FDG and those other ships are not bad, they're still very good, it's just we're limited to how many slots we can have now in sorties. So I think I said this last week, a good solution to this is to implement more game modes or just update Operation Siren so it has more level difference now, like make it a little bit harder. I'm pretty sure a lot of us at this point, aside from hard arbiter fights, think it's pretty easy to do OS, right? Have more content that has multiple fleets. If you guys remember last year, we had that one game mode for that one event. It was like a really small event, but it had a game mode, an EX mode, where we need 5 fleets. Though that 5 fleet content was actually very, very fun for me because it allowed for me to use a lot of old ships that I barely use nowadays in a content where it actually matters. Now you can tell me, oh Kimo, you can run multiple fleets in OS. I can, but there's no need for it when I can just stack 3 cross barrages and just 1 mob fleet, right? Whereas that game mode, if you don't have a fleet, you can't pass the next stage. And there's 5 bosses or 5 waves. And you need 1 fleet for each wave. So 30 ships, or yeah, 30 ships right there. Minimum. That's a lot. And that was really, really fun. Now, a counter argument for these kind of content where you want to have where multiple fleet is very, very good is the sense that some new players do not have those ships maxed out or whatever, right? Now, think of it as like this. If you guys played games like Princess Connect, Blue Archive, hell, even like old games like Brave Frontier or something, there is a thing where you can borrow friend ships to use for whatever game mode you need it for, right? You can theoretically do that with Azur Lane. Now, you're given a game mode where you can use other people's ships in your own fleet to incorporate to make a bigger fleets for that content, like the 5 fleet content, and this gives usage to friend lists, right? A lot of us have friends on our friend list. I hope so. But it doesn't have much use to it. Like the most usage you're gonna have from friends list is that, hey, Sam, I'm posting up a meta fight. Come help me out. That's it. But if you have this game mode where it has multiple fleets, and then we can borrow fleets, ships from other friend members, this gives usage to not only have more content with more fleets, to have more usage for the quote-unquote power creep ships, and it gives usage to friends. Like, that's a big thing right there. Now, if you don't want to do it that way, there's also rental ships. Let's say, for example, I may not have a New Jersey. I'm gonna borrow the game's New Jersey. Now, the game's New Jersey may be like kind of horribly built, like let's say this kind of gear right here, right? It's not perfectly maxed, but it's good enough. Like, if you guys don't know, a lot of gear in this game is just marginally worse than the best of slot gear. So having a setup like this on New Jersey, because you don't have a New Jersey, toss her into a boss fleet or whatever, and this can perform just well. Like, it's perfectly fine here. This does no problems to end game players because your ships are already maxed out, and early game players can sample out if this ship is good or not because there's a default version of it. And in the future, hey, Yo-Star, I really like using New Jersey. I want to pull for her in the future one day. And then boom, whenever, well, she's in a perma pool right now, but let's say that back then she was only gacha only. This person may want a gacha for New Jersey. So more money for them, most likely, more attention for them, more skin money, all that jazz. And we have more game modes added to the game to give more ships more usability. Because as of right now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, New Jersey has fallen off very, very hard. It's just facts. Like, the fact that I have to tell people nowadays if they're using New Jersey that like if they have like Soyuz, Bismarck II, Vanguard, Musashi, Alsace, I literally have to tell them New Jersey is probably the worst choice out of all these ships. Like, I don't want to have to say that. Like, why can't we just have a game mode where, hey, we can use New Jersey again and we have to make multiple fleets? That's fun. Like, I think one of the fun things in this game is building compositions that work for said content. Like, it's gotten to the point now where it's basically the same 8 to 10 ships, just rearrange their gear. But if you have content where it's like 30 ships, 40 ships, now we're talking. Not to mention, this is a naval warfare game, so you kind of want to have multiple fleets, don't you not? Right? Like 5 fleets, 6 fleets. that's gonna get fun. And again, before new players tell me, Kimo, I don't have this many ships, the friend list thing that I was talking about earlier, rental ships that the game has made default to use for your own fleets. Not only does it make it so you have ships to use in your fleet to try out that game mode, but it lets you sample how good those ships are in combat. So if you like them one day and you have a rerun banner, you can pull for them. I think those are two valid options right there for the whole situation in regards to having more game modes that allows more fleets and having more game modes that lets us have the usage of more fleets will make it so a lot of these old timer ships like New Jersey, FDG, like we can go down this whole, I can go down this whole list for you guys right now, talk about the ships that are not as used anymore. Drake, right? Let's talk about the URs right now because there's a lot of them. Warspite, Kronstadt, a Kronstadt right here. Like there's a lot of ships now, like even SSR ships. Don't even get me started with SSR ships. Like they're mostly all creeped out at this point. But having these game modes that lets us use multiple fleets brings them back. Richelieu, Aquila, Monarch, Georgia, Ark Royal. A lot of these good old ships can come back when you open up more content to let us use more fleets. That's what I truly think this game needs. And I know before people tell me like, Kimo, you're asking for too much. Kimo, you're an endgame player. Your opinions don't matter or whatever. Think about it. Wouldn't you want a game mode where you can use more than the same 12 ships for every content? To some of you new players, you may not care about it, but let's say, oh, Kimo, I just started this year. I don't have Musashi, Vanguard. Guess what? You add someone with New Jersey or Vanguard or Musashi, or you borrow the game's default Musashi or Vanguard. Now you get to have one, like a fake one, because it's a sample, it's a trial one. So when Vanguard or Musashi comes around, you know how good they are because you tested one out. Now you want to pull for them. You get what I'm saying? So I think that's a great idea. I want to hear the opinions of all my viewers because truly I do think it's time that this game does try to shake up the meta. And before you tell me shake up the meta as in add more UR ships that are better than what we have already, that is not a good idea. Like I don't want to have to go through this year thinking like, oh, who's gonna replace Implacable? Who's gonna replace Kearsarge? Who's gonna replace Yorktown 2? Who's gonna kick out I don't know, E-Girl? Who's gonna kick out Hindenburg, Unzen? I don't want to have to think this way. What I want to think is, okay, we got a new UR Vanguard, toss her in, let's make a fleet that's really good around using her, and then we toss that fleet into our fleet of 5 or 6 for that really good game mode content, whatever they want to add into the game. That's what I want to see. So, thank you for listening to me yap and ramble. As always, thank you guys. And I'll see you guys in the next video. And feel free to discuss. Also, shout out to my membership subs, as always. Thank you guys. I'm out. Peace.